Aspects is their own pressure for margins. If you look at it, they want to utilize it.
Obviously, there is something that is happening right because in which so many people are keen and interested. So traditional industry having these workers in a more organized setup where their wages are much better defined, where compliances are getting taken care of, they are treated better, they have access to information, they have access to getting their queries and grievances addressed, so they're understanding the merit of all of it together. And that's the reason that you see so many new industries, or traditionally industries which used a lot of unorganized manpower, agricultural companies, for example. So many of them are working with all of us, right? Which is a traditional unorganized employer. So it's become much more widespread. But that's overall. Retail, financial services.
You are showing only 17%.
Sorry?
Two largest, though everybody is still a single digit, but at a time when it was possibly if you go back 2 years ago, these two were the largest consumers. Even today they continue to be. So is IT.
Predominantly are in the unorganized portfolio, and which is obviously. That's true.
I think there's a new ecosystem through NSDC that there are companies which are trading that. So what we were good at is to do the matching part of it in the past, and currently that's our strength. What we have not been so very good, but that's something that is becoming the need of the hour, is how much can we skill and enable them. So that's an area that we are progressing now as a part of we moving the value chain or we adding value to the
enforcing the best practices probably doesn't work. It's something that people have to see the merit in and then follow those practices. I think people who are associated with Indian staffing federations, we have exhibited through our best practices that how you can lead the back, following those best practices, how you can build credibility, how you can successfully run a business, stay compliant, and do good at the same time, using those best practices. If I might just share some of those best practices, things like just giving out a formal appointment letter to each and every employee through a joining kit. Innovative policies, look, I think one thing which you have to bear in mind, whatever we invest in, at the end of the day is part of a business model. So if it's something which makes it business viable from a business perspective, we would. But things like initiatives around skill. Skill is something that at this point of time we feel is one of the things, initiatives that each one of us can benefit from over a long period of time. We may not earn, like I think one of the panelists said, we may not earn anything right now as a business model out of being in skilling, but in the long run we'll all stand to benefit because we will be creating a pool of talented youth who tomorrow will get absorbed in the plethora of vacancies that are coming out every day. So that's probably one of the areas that we could look at. Maybe obviously the answer lies in somewhere in between, and that's exactly what we've been saying, that any extremes of either kind is not going to work. So what is the point of labor laws? I think 67 direct ones, wherein it doesn't really affect or make a difference or protect the interest of 94% of the workforce. So why do we have it in the first place? And that's pretty much our point, that you have labor laws for 40 million people, while the balance remain untouched. So there has to be a moderation in terms of the kind of laws that exist, and I'm sure you will see a lot larger population being protected actually. So we are one of the countries which are the most regulated and least protected. That's why we need to bridge that gap. From our perspective, persistent pushing, of actually meeting all kinds of stakeholders in ILO, in the Ministry of Labour, in planning commissions, trade unions are very important stakeholders. Getting them intimate, getting them to understand what are the benefits of the ratification. And honestly, the way I look at it, only one person stands to gain from the ratification, and that is the worker, the candidate. because the way it is, it's very clearly defines roles and responsibilities for each stakeholder. It's a persistent effort. I think it's not going to see the light of the day so soon, but we believe it can happen because over the last 2 years, whatever incidents have happened in relation to contract labor, the foundation has been led for people to actually sit back and consider it. But unfortunately, the way things are, labor reform is still low in priority for everyone in the government. So until unless that comes up, I think it's going to be a challenge.
I wish we can relate to China the way actually China is. I think it's a different country. We need to recognize the fact that India is the future with the kind of the population, the young population that we're going to have compared to what China had. And China obviously has got the dividends of when they were the youngest nation. And I think the time has come for us now that we are going to reap the benefits. So I think it will not be good to sort of compare it in that way. But the steps that we are going to take now will decide whether we will do all the things that China did in that period.